Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Just a little heads up, you might notice a little change with the sound. Myself, unfortunately, put the mic underneath my jacket, which I knew, but it brushes up on it just a little bit. But the audio is very much usable, so if you hear a little bit of that in the background, I so apologize. Rookie mistake. Now I've learned it won't happen again. But enjoy the episode. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. We drop brand new episodes every single first and third Friday of the month. I was waiting for you to do it.
Well, also because we haven't dropped every first and third, so we are gaslighting you currently.
We missed a month. We did miss a month. Apologies, but thank you for rolling with us. But we're back. We are back. We're here.
And why do we exist?
We exist to empower you to practically live for Christ. That is the whole purpose of the Let's Talk About It podcast. I remember when I first started the show, I remember just thinking to myself that I didn't want to just be a show where we just talk to talk and ramble to ramble, but that at the end of the day, someone could listen to what it is that not just me, but anyone that's on the show, that they have something to say, but it's adding value to them in a way that they can actually do something with it.
Yeah.
And so that's always been the heart of not just the show, but I feel like that's one of my life missions.
Yeah.
You know,
I would agree.
is I feel like I lose the right to speak if I can't give you some way to apply it.
Yeah.
So that's where the heart of it comes from.
Yep. And hopefully that this podcast has been that to you. If not, blame him.
So we're back. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Like I said earlier, you have probably 1 hour of me before things start melting. I feel like a glazed donut right now, actually. Okay. I've, full disclosure, I've already done my skincare for the evening.
Hey.
I'm like, you know what?
You got a glow.
Yeah, it's...
No, for real, you do.
I am very slathered up.
You look good on the camera.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm just saying.
I'm slathered and lathered up. I am hydrated, you know. I sprayed it down. Oh, wow. Say it, don't spray it. So, yeah, I'm feeling like a whole glazed donut right now. And the light, just intensifies that feeling.
Oh, man.
How are you?
I'm good. Honestly, I'm good. It's something I actually wanted to flesh out. I mean, we've kind of talked about it, behind the scenes as well. So part of the reason why we missed the month of June, I actually had some Army training, and we just had a lot of things going on. And so apologies. But something cool really happened at the beginning of the month of June. Every year we do something at a church called Presbytery. Yeah. And essentially it's, we call it Words in Due Season, but it's really when a group of people are selected to, they have the gift of prophecy. And prophecy means a lot of actually different things. When you read it through the book of Corinthians, prophecy, when Paul is talking about it, means really to speak the gospel. But you also have prophecy in the context where the Lord downloads, whether it's a word or a vision or a thought into someone, and they share it, with that individual or a group of individuals. And so we do that annually at our church. And while we were there, one of the words that was given, it was on Wednesday night, which is our youth night. And our friend Kara got up and spoke in front of everyone. She said, hey, this is a word for everybody, but really more so I'm talking to the youth. And by youth, 12th grade, 6th to 12th grade, essentially. And the push that she really gave to people was, as you are young adult, and I think this is for everybody too, so 30s, 40s, what have you, but her point was saying you need to have people that have lived life ahead of you. And she said, why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so she goes, she says, so, if you're on staff or a pastor or whatever, I'd like for you guys to stand. And she said, hey, look around the room and, see if there's someone that's sticking out that you need, spiritual mentors basically in your life. And so this one person comes up to me, and then we've had, rapport with for quite a while, a lot of conversation. And so she comes up to me and goes, hey, I wanted to ask, and you can pray about it, would you consider being a spiritual father to me? And I was like, I really don't like you right now. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry.
Explain yourself.
No, it's like watching this play out from the sidelines.
Yeah, because it happened in front of you.
Yeah, it was hilarious. That's why I'm laughing. And it happened right before Father's Day. So I'm thinking of the text message this person sent you on Father's Day.
I'm going to get there. But it honestly, it legitimately, it did mess with me. Because I was just like, do I have to be like a dad? Can I be like just can I be like the really, really, really like older, cool brother?
Right.
Instead of like the spiritual father, basically. And so, I obviously knew what she meant when she asked. It was definitely an honor. But I didn't know what to do with it in the moment at first, in the sense of just the statement. I knew what she was asking.
Yeah.
And we laughed about it again. You were there. You laughed about it as well. And so fast forward, I went to my Army training. That same week, because that was on a Wednesday.
Yep.
When she had asked me, I had to do training and started that. So I left the following Monday. And, I briefly got picked up for promotion on the Army side. Truly, truly, grace of God. It's a whole other story for another time. But in this class, there's about 35 to 40 people in there. And some of them are enlisted, so you have E5s, which is like a sergeant. You have some of the rank, even a specialist or a private first class. So I would say probably about a third, 33, 35%. But the other 65% were officers. The majority of those officers were captains, couple first lieutenants. But I'm one of 4 what the Army would qualify as senior leader. And so there was 2 majors and 2 lieutenant colonels, in which I was one of the majors. And when we were in class, when a captain called me sir, it was weird.
Yeah.
Because I've been a captain I was a captain almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And again, that's a story for another time. So I recognize that when I would speak and I'm looking at the response of a captain looking at me, it was very different.
Yeah.
And not just a captain, but many captains.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to teach one of the classes last minute. And essentially the teaching style for some of the individuals there wasn't the best experience.
Yeah.
And that was something that I vocalized in our AAR comments. But I had people come up to me of all different ranks, from sergeant on the enlisted side to second, first lieutenants, captains, even one of the lieutenant colonels saying, hey, when you came up to speak, you brought a different posture. Like the intensity was here, and you just brought it way, way down.
Yeah.
And it was something that we needed. And I had a lot of these lieutenants and a couple captains, more lieutenants than captains, just ask me questions that I know the answer to.
Yeah. And
I had this one conversation with one of the lieutenants, and I felt the Lord go, ask him how old he is. I'm just thinking, like, why is that relevant? He says, I'm 27. And I felt the Holy Spirit instantly go, Mark, you have a decade on top of this guy. Mm-hmm. And it was just this like, oh, wow. And so I finished the training, come back Sunday, it's Father's Day. And so that person, I really want to reach across and just knock that drink out of me. And she basically goes, Happy Spiritual Father's Day. I was like, what the heck? and she wrote a very, very sweet, kind blurb, behind it. But I said that to say that from the Wednesday going into that whole week, that 10-day period, mm-hmm. was really just this moment of the Lord going, I'm not just in a different season of my life. I'm in a different stage of my life.
Yeah.
And it's really messing with me.
Yeah.
Well,
I also laughed because unbeknownst to you, the Lord, I felt like, was also showing me on the other side the weight of influence. And genuinely that, I know I laugh about it, like it's all giggles to me.
Yeah.
But that very same week, the Lord started showing me, he's all like, hey, remember those people that you looked up to in your 20s? And he was like, you're now becoming them. Mm-hmm. And there was like a shift. Like I just remember him saying that, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember feeling the weight of it. I'm just like, I can't just say whatever I want to say for kicks and giggles, and not that I can be a fun person, but like, and what put the nail on that was I was speaking to a young adult and she was hanging on to every word that was coming out of my mouth. And I remember, like, in the back of my mind, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I need to steward this so well. Like, I cannot stray this person, based on my opinions and preferences. So I remember as you are going through that, like, when you went off to training in Cali and all of that, I was having this moment with the Lord where the Lord just kind of like shifted it a little bit. And he was like, hey, the weight of your influence is just changing and it's shifting. And the, just like how you looked up to certain people when you were in your 20s, you are now reaching that, even if you want it or not, like you're getting there, And oftentimes when things like that happen, I mean, they didn't tell us when we were looking up to them, like you never feel ready, because I'm just like, Lord, I have so much more growing up to do. Like, I don't even know how to do my own taxes still. Like,
so it's interesting, but even though I know logically and timeline wise, at the end of this month, I'll be in the Army 14 and a half years.
Yeah.
Between active duty and the reserves. But in my mind, babe, I still...
End of this month?
At the end of this month, yeah.
I thought it was in January.
14 and a half. So at the halfway point of this year.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. January is my...
You did say that, math.
Yeah, is my annual. So yeah, at the end of July, I will hit the 14 and a half year mark. But in my mind, I still see myself... I still think I'm Lieutenant Benton.
100%. Like, in my mind, I feel like I'm still in my 20s. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, and I've had some conversations where I'm just all like, no, you're a full-grown adult. Like, one of them was like when my aunt was in town, realizing like, oh, when I was born, like, she was around my age. Like the way she's meeting me now is just around the same age when I was, born. And I'm like, so in my mind, I still like feel like a child sometimes, and not even a child. Like, I feel like I'm 21, 22.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure it out. And I just remember feeling the weight, like, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
At all. Like, oh no, oh God, it was like, oh wow. Like, yeah. So when God was just like, the weight of your influence is shifting, I was like, oh, I'm the adult now.
So let's talk about both the gift of that, of seeing like, yourself, seeing yourself the same 15 years ago, but also talk about the unintentional consequence. The gift is, I never want to lose my relevance. I never want to lose the ability, not just the ability to connect with people. I'm already a natural empath. And so here's what goes on in my mind. When I see other lieutenants, I remember myself way more as a lieutenant than I do as a captain. And I spent 3 times the amount of time as a captain than I did as a lieutenant. And I believe I experienced that because my hardship years, the hardest part of my years was hands down in my years as a lieutenant. And to everything you just said, that the Lord did the same thing for me that week. I think it was Friday. It was either the last day or the second to last day. I felt the Lord go, Mark, that you are the rank that you wish you had someone covering for you when you were a lieutenant. It was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so the gift, when you say, man, in my mind, I'm still like in my 20s. In my mind, I still see that lieutenant. The gift is we naturally value that people group. You and I have a heart for young adults. And I feel like that's been there really ever since then. And I think we have that because we remember what it's like. We don't want to forget that.
Yeah.
So that's the gift. The flip side to it is, to what you just said, when you have more influence, which comes with more titles, which comes with more responsibility, we can't be as loose with our words. The things that we got away with, for example, there's certain things I could get away with because it's, oh, he's just a lieutenant. Mm-hmm. It's essentially their way of saying he's a junior officer. Keyword junior. So it's the time and place to make mistakes. If I made some of those same mistakes right now, like it's the margin for error does start to slim, as it appropriately should. And so it's like you said, so the goal is not also to walk around with paranoia by any means, but it is to have total awareness of do you know the amount of not just responsibility you have, but how do other people view you? And the thing that's actually come to mind, I've actually thought about wanting to do an episode breakdown on this, but Peter Scazzaro in his book, Emotionally Healthy Leader, one of the last chapters, he goes through 6 different types of power. And one of the 6 he talks about is what's called projected power. And so projected power is when, based off your title, your position, your rank, and this could be anything. It could be, so let's even just go to a parent. Because you're mom and dad, your kids genuinely look at you as a form of God in life. Mm-hmm. What mom and dad says, especially if you're 18 and under, outside of the Lord, you're like the bat phone to them.
Yeah.
So how are you stewarding that, mom? How are you stewarding that, dad? If you're the older sibling, got it. You didn't ask for it. But there is a projected power that comes with that.
Yeah.
You know? Going back to me during that training, I had just pinned Major.
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
I literally been wearing the rank for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The outside looking in, they're probably like, he's been a Major for a few years.
Yeah.
Which comes, as it should, with they assume that I should know a certain amount of information, as I should. And the gift of that training, by the way, helped identify and highlight a lot of my shortcomings. So I'm like, man, I need to brush up over here.
Yeah.
I need to nail down and pay attention to the regulation over here. And then, of course, on the other side, it's also helped me go, okay, this is where I'm nailing it. This is where I'm knocking it out of the park. But that's the point, is where I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is that realization that they don't know, like, where you are in a sense that, like, they don't know. For me, like, I'm not in the Army, you know. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of things that, like, I secretly hope for and wish for, because, mm-hmm. you know, I didn't have that when I was in my 20s. But they don't know that, mm-hmm. right? So they're thinking like you're this whole person or whatever. And I even remember, like, Lisa Harper and both Lisa.
Turquoise.
No, dang. The other one. Bevere. Yeah, thank you. I was just like the hero of Lisas. Lisa Harper and Lisa Bevere both have said this, and I'm sure other people have too. They got to a point in their leadership where they had to become what they didn't have. Mm-hmm. And I will say, when I first turned 30 and that thought was presented to me, I'm like, that's not fair. Like I should have gotten, you know, what I should have gotten. So I try to play the fair card, you know, and say like, no, that's not fair. Like, I should have still had that. You know, I should have still had this. I should have still had that, you know. The thing about time and the thing about God is, like, neither stops, you know, it's just going to keep going. And it's, my whole thing is, I'm not going to change God's mind. Either I'm going to meet him where, you know, where he is, yeah. or he'll just let me run with it until I get tired of myself, mm-hmm, you know? Mm-hmm. And so, like, recently, I would say within the last year or so, I've had to come into terms with the fact, like, I can't go back to 21 and get what I thought I should have had.
Yeah.
But the Lord is presenting me with opportunities where I can be what I did not have. You know.
What has that done for you? Like the realization of, because I think it's safe to say everyone's walked through that at some point. Like,
yeah.
I sure have. I've been like, man, it's easy because you're going to be one of two people. You're either going to be like, well, I didn't have that, so why should I give that to you?
Yeah.
Or it's because I didn't have that, I want to give that to
I've been both, so.
So what has the shift been like for you to come out of the first phase of, I didn't have that, that's not fair, and now and for you to go from there to, man, because I didn't have that, I want to give, I want to be the better for the next person.
Yeah. I think both comes with grief. You know?
It's all right. It was good, babe.
Yeah, I think both comes with grief because, like, the first grief just comes from anger. And in the second grief, you're kind of putting it to the side, you know?
Yeah.
And not saying, like, oh, well, it's life, I just have to deal with it. But, like, it's just the recognizing of just, you can fall into alignment with what God has for you, or you can fight him on it, you know? Yeah. And it does make you sad, of course.
For sure.
That you didn't have that, and you, like, there's just part of you that feels like, man, I still got to move forward without having had that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, when I really look at it, I did.
Yeah.
I did have it, you know? It just wasn't as obvious and apparent, you know, as others maybe.
Like not in the source that you expected or would have liked it.
Yeah. I mean, like, you hear me say this all the time, like, bragging about the Johnsons, you know? And it's very easy to, like, put the story of how they came into my life off to the side because it didn't happen how I thought it should happen, or, you know, it wasn't packaged the way I thought it would be packaged. But, like, anytime I'm sharing something with you, it usually has the Johnsons in it, you know? Even up until, even recently, you know, like, everything I know how to do with ministry, you know, or just being solid, like, I learned by just watching their lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it is easy to, like, fall into that pity party of, like, well, I didn't have it, like, you know, exactly as I thought I should have had it. Like, you know, I didn't have it set up exactly as I had imagined it, you know, but, like, I think that's also part of the grief. It's just like, there's that failure to recognize. But when you recognize, you're like, man, how much time did I waste?
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Just how much time did I waste hoping and wishing that it was one way when it was there?
Yeah.
You know, just not in the form of how you thought it should be. So, yeah.
Man. No, thank you. I'm even more glad we're talking about it, but you're right. I remember going back to my first year in the Army. It sucked. Like, I hated it.
Yeah.
And I remember just going, I'm going to do my 4 years and get out. Because, like you said, I didn't get that leadership that I really craved, you know, and wanted. But just now when you said that, I did, but it wasn't from the people. Like, it wasn't within my direct chain. And it's like, dang, the Lord did have them there. And so you're absolutely right, sweetheart.
Because I think of Sergeant Makata, I think of...
yeah. Sergeant Woods.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, they all had your back.
Yeah.
You know, they were just... In fact, they were probably more senior leadership than the ones that you were waiting for validation from, you know?
For sure.
But... yeah, so I think the grief comes from both end of knowing just like, man, how much time did I, you know,
wow,
just spend wishing it my way, you know? But God has been good, like better than good, in that he did provide me with those people, you know? it didn't look like what I thought it would look like. It was better, actually. You know, my life is forever changed because of the Johnsons. Like, if I didn't meet them, who would I be today? Like, would I still have the same fire for God, you know? And like, even today, I made a comment to you when we were going to a doctor's appointment. I made the comment, I lived on under the covering of their prayers. Like, I was able to have dreams and visions, and a certain amount of protection from principalities and all of that, because of their prayers, because they saturated the environment, they covered me, you know? And what more could I ask for, you know, than someone who doesn't care, like, cares about me on such a deeper level, and that's on a soul level, you know? So, yeah.
So let's, I kind of want us to flesh this out then. Like, here, because here what I'm hearing is the practical side of things. The first thing what I'm hearing from you is we need to be able to grieve what we wish we got. So that's number one. Is we just want to invite you in as a listener, those who's watching right now. What do you need to grieve that maybe you haven't grieved yet? What do you need to release and let go that you wish you had a you at that stage in life, but you haven't? And then once you do that, now you have a choice, right? Everybody has a choice to go, well, since I didn't get that, you know, you can either continue to be the bitter person, or you can be a better person. And what I'm hearing from you is, once you grieved it, it actually positions you to reassess who was still there, despite who you wished was there.
Right.
And so here's another way of saying it. So this is actually like pretty much this is what therapy does. A great counselor, a great therapist does not help us to go back to the past to change it. They help us to go back to the past to reinterpret it. And that's
reframing.
That's basically what you said.
Yeah.
You were able to grieve what you wish you had, meaning there was someone in your mind that you desire to take,
or
that.
multiple someones.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
and that's so what usually what happens is we want the masses and not the singular person that's like the Lord is providing. You know, like and we want it to look a certain way. We want it to be presented a certain way. We want it to be, look, feel, all of that, right? And then when we don't get it, like, I'm probably jumping the gun here, sorry.
That's okay.
But when we don't get it that way, we fall into this poor me, oh my, and stay in that victim mentality. You know? And when a counselor said this, it's like, I'm not here to make victims. And like, I couldn't have like agreed with that more. Now, if you had said that to me about a decade ago, like I probably would have punched you. And I'm not like, do you know the things I've been through? You know, like, but she talks about, I'm not here to make a victim. I'm here to make sure like we heal, and we also hold accountability for the things that the role that we played in it, you know? So I think that's the two part of it is feel the grief. Like, I absolutely do wish there are certain people I just adored and looked up to, and I wanted them to be that for me.
Yeah.
And they weren't, but what the Lord gave me was actually 10 times better than the people I looked up to. And more holier, more in tune with the Holy Spirit, just overall stellar people. They've literally changed the trajectory of my life for the better. Whereas the other people that I was just wishing and hoping, they were pushing me in the exact opposite direction. So yes, I still grieved it. You know, of course I did. Like, absolutely grieved it. But then I had to start looking at the other side of things and realize like, actually what the Lord gave me was 10 times better than what I had hoped for.
So 1, grieve it. Grieve what you wish you got from certain individuals. 2, reassess them. Is basically what we're asking. I mean, that's what we did, not realizing it, as we're fleshing this out. But 2, reassessing.
You should do it as a preacher. Reframe, reassess.
Now, let's start with the same letter.
Yeah. Make sure the next word is also a
Oh boy.
reprogram.
Actually, that's fair. Because to get to the reprogramming piece,
Yeah.
That's the part where it's like, now you have a choice. Now once you have recognized what you missed out on from who you think you missed out on, and then you go to reassess essentially who was actually there in your life. Then it gets to a spot where you now have a choice to make, and now you have to, I guess, reassess, or reprogram your mindset and go, do you want to be what? Do you want to basically live a life that goes, well, because so-and-so didn't get it, they shouldn't, because I didn't get it, they shouldn't get it either?
Right.
Or do you want to go, no, I want to be the change that I wish I had for me?
Yeah.
To be that intentional individual. And the funny thing is, to everything you said, you said this before too, when I was 2 years removed from my, I think it was like year 3 for me in the Army. So I was first lieutenant being looked at for captain at the time. You even told me, babe, you said, babe, everything you know about leadership, pouring and developing into people, is because of what you didn't have.
Yeah.
And you were so right. And then when I started to look back, Sergeant Mikata, Sergeant Woods, Sergeant Dilday,
of the United States Army.
Of the Army. My peers, Danae, Zaccardi, Jawan, Chris Malden, Jason, Huffman. Yeah. Like when I started looking back, I'm like, man, Sir McLean, Captain Brooks. I mean, like all those guys, like.
There were more people for you than against you.
Yes.
But the ones that were against you just felt more highlighted and prominent.
Well, and it felt more highlighted and prominent because there are individuals that were in like your direct leadership and what you answered to.
Yeah.
So it's like they're the ones that not so much write your paycheck, but they have something to say about your annual report.
Yeah.
And so it's the ones that you want that attention from. That's the painful piece.
Yeah.
It's like, man, why didn't I get that? Like, your mind goes, why was I not good enough for you to guide me in this area?
Yeah.
And what makes it even harder is, of course, you look at your peers, people around you. This can be in family life, this can be in friendship life, it can be in work life. But you look around whatever your equivalent equal is, and you go, they're getting it. And so you wrestle with this, it must be me. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that you have to grieve and release.
Right.
That's the part that you have to choose to let go. That's the part where, and if you're struggling with it, this is where you invite the Holy Spirit into it. Mm-hmm. This is where you go, Holy Spirit, I know I need to let this go, but I can't. Can you help me? The Lord can work with that.
Yeah.
So as you're grieving it, it's only until you grieve it and let it go where you can get to a place where the Holy Spirit can now go. So the second question can be, Lord, show me who was there for me. And like, what if we like went back to thank them?
Yeah.
You did something ridiculously kind. Probably the best gift you've gotten me. But you put out an all blast message to all these people to write me something. And I was hearing from people I hadn't spoken to in years. I mean, years. One, I didn't see for over a decade. And we reconnected.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, God, it was a reminder of like, not only did I make a difference in their life, but they made a difference in mine.
Right.
And to see them celebrate me. I'm not saying it from arrogance. Like, stop, y'all. I'm not. I need to do all those caveats. I'm saying that from a place of I was intentional as I possibly could with what I had at that time, and I'm living in the fruit of those decisions. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's true though for everybody.
Yeah.
I believe that's true for you as you're watching or listening. You too are living in the fruit of what people have poured into you. It may not have been the ones that you desired or wanted, but I guarantee you, if you searched hard enough, there are people that the Lord did put in your life to actually help you through that moment. It may not have been from that individual you wish. Maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was a boss. Maybe it was an unhealthy friendship. You guys were quote unquote friends for over a decade and you realized they weren't actually healthy for you. And it may not have ended the way you wanted it to, but the Lord actually had other individuals there to help you walk through it. And once you get past that piece, I actually think we have a responsibility. That to me is actually like the talents. Mm-hmm. That is stewardship.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then what you have chosen is, I am going to appropriately call a group of people out. If you have the mindset of, well, I didn't get this, so why should I give it to you? Then you are living in a posture of bitterness and offense and unforgiveness. And then stop being surprised on how God won't use you to your fullest capacity then. Because now you're looking at it from a, what can I get it? What's in it for me type thing. And last time I checked, as people of faith, we're not in it for us.
Yeah.
We're in it for those around us, which is why you got to grieve it.
Yeah.
And so I am calling you out to call you up to more, because I think there is more for you. So if that's where you at, we get it. We've been there. Please don't stay there, because you're better than that. And not only does God have more in store for you and what he wants to do in you, with you, and through you, how do you not know that your yes isn't an answered prayer to someone else, but that other person is struggling longer than they're supposed to, simply because we won't let go of what was. And so that week and a half in June was just like a, wow, I'm where I'm doing what I wish someone did for me 14 and a half years later.
Yeah.
It's just, it's wild to me.
Yeah.
And and also, babe, it's a morality check. Like, it's, I'm 37, I'm still young, but 10 years has gone by, or 14.
Yeah.
And it's the reminder that as you get older, you sent me a clip of it. This person said, she said it was like 20 things I wish I knew in my 30s. And one of them was, getting old is not a curse, it's a privilege. Mm-hmm. It is such a privilege. Like, some people don't make it to a certain age. It's a privilege. And so I'm not going, I'm 37. I'm going, thank you, God, I'm 37. And I just want to make the most of it, so to hear someone go, will you be my spiritual father? Like, what an honor. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I would say too is, as we're thinking through, kind of going back to the projective power piece, truly assess and look at every role you carry. Are you a parent? Are you a boss or a leader? I think even for you, sweetheart, being a pastor's wife may not be quote unquote something you asked for, but that's your reality. Mm-hmm. And so it's something that people project onto you. The awareness of that, though, is here's an argument for it. Our awareness of projected power is actually what makes us humble. Because humility is complete ownership and recognition of what you have and how what you do and say impacts others.
Yeah.
So now when I make statements, especially as a major, I'm thinking through the lens of, if I make this statement, how does this impact the captain? How does this impact the lieutenant? How does this impact the private?
Yeah.
To include, how does this impact my superior, lieutenant colonel? That's the way it should be. As a pastor, I think through, as your husband, I think through the lens of, if I say this thing to my wife, how's this going to land with her?
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you're fake.
No.
I am very open. I'm very, not everyone will get to, like, I'm not the type of person that just sit down with you and just like, well, here's me, But if you ask me questions, I will tell you honest answer of where I am in, in that area or, any of that. But I am a lot more careful, like on the statements I make. And how often do I say, it's like, man, it's moments like this, I wish I had a ghost account, I'm careful about what it is that I post on social media, not because I'm trying to be fake and not because I don't have an opinion, I just know who's watching. And sometimes I actually forget who's following me until I get like a like on and I'm like, oh, I forgot this person was even following me, So
what you just said is you've even given up your right to like certain posts at the expense of awareness of who's following you because you don't want to unintentionally have someone stumble someone.
My sense of humor is very dark. I mean, I think we all know that, but that's not for everyone to understand. And I have to be careful with that. And we have family where, like, we've had this conversation where you'll be like, babe, they don't understand your sense of humor. And at first, like, I remember, I was like, well, that's their problem. Like, they need to understand my sense of humor, But I've even noticed, like, with certain family members, like, I'm just like, oh, that's just not a comment I need to make. Like, that's not a joke I need to make because well, by the time I explain it, it's not funny anymore, But also, it's just recognizing, like, there's a time and a place. And I have group chats where I can be me with no filter, and all of that. And then there's group chats where I'm just like, no, that's not what they need. They need someone who's a little bit more level-headed, There's like this meme that's going on in social media that says, every trio group chat has 3 people. The one that's always down for something, the logical one, and the one that's going to keep it calm and collected. And I'm just all like, I literally have a group chat where none of those people exist. We're all just unhinged in that group chat, But
here's what you said, though. You also, this is actually a great point. You also said, so on one side, have awareness of what we say, what we post, when and how we say things impacts others. And at the same time, what you're also saying is have your safe place.
Absolutely.
Like, you got to what you're saying is have your group of people. You don't have to worry about a filter. And that's actually part of the point. That's what healthy community is.
And I'm not saying like we go in there cussing up a storm or anything like that. But
right.
We're just like, I mean, how I've pretty much showed up to this podcast, like hair in a ponytail, nighttime routine done, like no makeup, we're just here. We're just existing and we're sharing stories with each other and we're laughing probably on inappropriate things, but it's not in a crude way. Yeah. It's just like, hey, we're just being us, but that's not the version. How I look right now is not the version that shows up everywhere. If you were to invite me to a military ball, I'm not showing up like this. I am in an evening gown. My hair is done. I'm going to have a little bit more makeup on. Yeah. Does that mean I'm being untrue to myself? No, I am just conducting myself in the place that I've been called to. There's nothing untrue about, when I have conversations at military balls, I'm still me. I'm still authentically me. I still laugh with people. I still have fun. But how I show up just looks a little different. And there's nothing fake about it.
Essentially what you're saying is what you're challenging us is, I love that you're emphasizing, like, hey, don't be fake. It's the awareness of what I say and what I do has the potential to make someone stumble.
Yes.
And that's what it is that we're managing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And like that perspective used to tick me off. And I'm sharing this because what I just shared about myself is something that used to tick me off when people are like, well, you need to, this part of you needs to show up. No. I am me and they can, they need to get used to the Juby show. And I'm like, and then realizing, you're being very selfish. This is not all about you.
Well, so let's play that out. We can do that. Right. So let's just say you're 100% you.
But then don't be offended when you stop getting invites.
That right there. Not just that, you miss out on so much capital. Then.
Yeah.
You lose your not just, I don't want to just say leadership capital. You use your personal influence capital. Like here's another way of saying it. There are some people right now, if that's the hill you want to die on, hey, by all means, you can. It is your life. Like it's your life. You can. Just know you are you are missing out on engaging in certain conversations with specific individuals simply because
you're missing out on opportunities.
Ooh, there you go.
Not just even people, you're missing out on opportunities. Babe, how many people do we want to invite onto our podcast? But when you mention something and I'm like, pause, I just saw something on social media that we might want to look at before we ask this person, you know? So if you want to, yes, be you. Like, and again, I'm saying this as someone who thought that way in her 20s. Like, I'm just all like, I have every right to be me. I fought to be me. Like, I deserve to be me, right? And when I used to have adults, you know, tell me, and I put that in air quotation, you know, like, hey, there's going to have to be a different version of you that shows up. Like, I even remember being in one of my business classes, and one of the professors said, like, hey, like, how you dress to places matters, you know? And I'm just like, I'm not going to the grocery store, like, looking nice, you know? And now I go to Walmart and I see kids in, like, just literally their nightgown, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who you're going to run into. You don't know what conversation you're going to have.
Yeah.
So as you do, like, yes, like, as you go up in your leadership capacity and capital, like, you do give up a lot of rights. It does not mean you become fake. You, Patrick Lencioni, like, I love his books because he emphasizes that on a lot. You know, he's like, people want to be CEOs so bad. They want to be managers so bad. They want to be presidents so bad. What they don't realize is, when you want to be those things so badly, you are literally saying, I am going to be the last person I consider. You know? That doesn't make you fake. It just makes it real.
Yeah.
You know, the higher you go up, the more you give up.
Yeah, that's so good. As you were talking, you reminded me of the scripture. I want to read it because, like, I know there's probably someone out here going like, well, I want to do. Okay, that's fine. You can. Hear me out.
Pause.
1 Corinthians chapter 9. Verse 19, this is Paul talking, all right? Verse 19, 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Even though I am a free man with no master, I've become a slave to all people to bring many to Christ. When I was with the Jews, I lived like a Jew. Why? So you can bring the Jews to Christ. When I was with those who follow the Jewish law, I too lived under that law, even though I am not subject to that law. So what he's saying is, at this point, because he's experienced Christ, he's basically going like, I don't have to live by certain laws anymore. Like, I'm good. But when I'm with them, because they haven't had that epiphany yet, I live under that.
Yeah.
He's basically lowering himself to that standard. So here's another way of saying it. Paul is also saying, when I'm on my own, I don't do that. But I'm with them. I do. So a contextualized version of it would be, we have a good friend who's, because of his past, he said, I can't listen to secular music. Because I know that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm pretty much at that point in my life where I don't anyways anymore. But I'm very intentional with this particular friend. I always have Christian music on.
Yeah.
That's not my personal conviction, but it's his. The more I've just drawn more to the Lord, it's just casually becoming like that.
Yeah.
But I'm aware of it now. And honestly, because of that friendship, when I'm spending time with someone for the first time, I actually just keep Christian music on playing in the background because I don't know what their past is.
Yeah.
Right. So I did this so I could bring to Christ those who are under the law. So it explains why he does it, right? When I'm with the Gentiles who don't follow the Jewish law. So now he's shifting. I too live apart from that law so I can bring them to Christ. But I don't ignore the law of God. I obey the law of Christ. When I'm with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Christ. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything I can to save some. I do everything to spread the good news and sharing his blessings. So here's a good question. Do you do everything that you can with the people group that God has placed in your life to save them?
Yeah.
And when he's saying save them, obviously it's the Lord that saves. but do you posture yourself in a way based off the way you dress, how you talk, not just what you say, when you say it, how you say it. Do you posture yourself in a way in which you're trying to find common ground with everyone, doing everything you can to save some? If the answer is no, we got work
Everything
to do.
short of sinning.
Correct.
Because he doesn't say, hey, when I was with the Gentiles, I sinned like the Gentiles. He does not say that.
Matter of fact, that's Craig Rochelle's statement with Life Church. It's we will do anything and everything short of sin to reach everybody to the gospel. It pretty much comes from
that's why I like the Apostle Paul so much. He is such a chameleon. Again, he's not fake. He just understands.
He definitely is not fake.
Yeah.
Paul will keep it real.
Yeah. He just understands, hey, when I'm with the Jewish crowd, they have a certain belief system that I'm going to honor, and he himself is Jewish. So,
right.
Yeah. And then when he's with the Gentiles, I'm not turning my nose to them.
Yeah.
I'm not sinning, but I'm also showing them hey, Jesus is available to you as well.
Yeah.
So I really just it's funny, up until this year, I wasn't a huge Paul fan. It was this year that I became a fan of Paul, and I'm just oh, he does love us. He's actually a good guy. He's one of the good ones, But anyways, I digress.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our time together, I do want to end it on one more topic.
Yeah.
You taught me this years ago. And the reason why I want us to end it here is because with everything we're talking about, I think would be actually a great way to flush this concept out. So you taught me something about 3 years ago called halftime. And halftime is something you said you started doing even back in your college days, basically in the summertime. What is that, and where does that concept come from? We actually did a recording on it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just want you to kind of reflush it out because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And so take us away.
I was going to say it's actually the perfect time because by the time you hear this, we have hit halftime. So essentially the concept of halftime is what you would imagine it to be from the world of sports. Every sport does have a halftime.
Most sports do.
Every sport that I know of does have a every sports I watch. How about that? Every sports I watch.
Football and basketball.
Yeah, mainly basketball and soccer. Teams implement halftime. So the whole concept of a halftime is not a moment for you to just be that was great. Let's talk about the cute girls in the stands or, let's whatever. What happens during a halftime is the coach and the team, they go to the back to their locker room and they assess how they played on the first half, how their strategy was, if what they were doing worked, if it didn't work, and what it is that they need to change, or should we still actually just keep steady? Because sometimes no change needs to happen. The other team is just serving it up for you, and they're all right, cool, So that whole concept came to me in college, where I'm just okay, it's a summertime, first semester's already over.
And what does summertime represent, by the way, from your standpoint?
I don't know.
Okay, so you haven't said it, that's why. So we're talking about halftime, and halftime is the middle of a game, right? So halftime in a year.
Yeah. Got it.
So what we're saying is, because at the time when we're recording this, July 2nd, by the time we post it, it'll be the 4th of July.
Yeah, no, we recorded this way before July 2nd. We don't wait till the last minute to record. Not us.
And so halftime is a concept of when you get to the half point of the year.
Literally today is the half point of the year. So I know for a lot of people, the first 6 months, it may have been great. And you've just been killing it. You've been meeting your goals. You've been waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning like you said you would be. You've been reading your Bible. You've been drinking your 1 gallon of water. You've just been knocking your goals out of the park. Great. Do we need to add something more to that? Or do we just keep it steady? Hey, we're good with what we have. We're seeing results with what we have. And then there's some of us who we've started certain goals, or we said we would do something, we would play the game this way, and we've missed the mark. And there's no shame in that. It's life. Like, clearly, we didn't drop any episodes in June. Like, life happens. But don't let that same energy carry you for the next 6 months. You get to stop and say, like, hey, today gets to be a new year for me. Like, January 1st doesn't have to be your new year. Like, you can stop right now and reassess, what do I need to switch up? What do I need to change? What do I need to say goodbye to? Or who do I need to say goodbye to in order to make the rest of 2025 more effective, more
efficient?
Yeah, thank you. I was just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, more efficient, you know? And I know one of the things I said when we did the podcast recording couple of years ago was there's two things that happens at halftime. The first is the players who are in it, they go to the back and they assess what is happening. You know, they watch video, they come up with new game plans and, you know, what needs to shift, what needs to change. Is there any injuries we need to like be addressing? Like, how's your knee? You know, whatever. So there's a lot of assessment happening. And then there's the other group of people, which is like, you know, me, who comes to the game and I am there to be entertained, you know, to watch what's happening. And I'm watching the halftime show, you know, because
getting something to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very much all like, oh, well, you know, well, they gave me a break, so I'm going to go do my thing, you know, so I pray and I hope you're the person who says, like, you know what, actually, I am not going to be distracted by the break, like the summer break, you know. Oftentimes we'll do that. It's like, oh, it's the summertime. I get to chill, you know. And I'm not saying you don't get to do that, you know. You can't. You can still take your vacation, still, you know, be with family, still rest, you know, still go to the beach, whatever. But I hope this is not a I'm unplugging and I'll plug back in when things pick up again. I really and truly hope that this is a moment you just take and say, like, you know what, this is actually a really great time for me, regardless of what end of the spectrum I'm on. Like, I've been killing it this year versus I could use some changes. And don't get discouraged. Be like, well, the first 6 months was hard, so that's okay. Like, there's still so much can change in 6 months. So much can change in 6 months. So don't pish posh, you know, the fact that like, oh, I've already lost 6 months. Like, there's nothing I can change about it. No, like, there's so much you can change about it. So if that's, you know, what we started with the topic is like, do you need to reevaluate some of the influences you have in your life? Do you want to reevaluate who it is that you're waiting to get validation from? You know, even when you were speaking earlier, like, we spend so much time focusing on who didn't we get that from, that we miss, you know, who was actually there. And the group that was actually there was actually bigger than the ones that weren't. And could we consider for a minute that the rejection that we felt from that one individual was actually could have been protection? You know, because I've gotten close enough to some of these people that I wanted validation from. And I know how much that scathed me, just not even getting too close, but close enough, you know, it burned me. So I wonder how much more damage could have happened if the Lord just lifted that protection and had this person influence me 100%.
Wow.
You know, so let's start to look at rejection as protection. Like, if you didn't get a job, there's a really good reason that you probably got rejected from that job. And it is probably the hand of God just protecting you from what is to come. And it is going to be hard to see right there and then. You may not even see it this year, but just write it down. Those moments that feel like, God, this feels like rejection, write it down. Because I promise you, you will come back to it one day and realize, like, oh, that was protection from the hand of God, you know? So that's the whole concept of halftime for me. It's just a moment to say, like, I'm reevaluating. I'm not giving up because you still have a full quarter to play this game out, you know, like
half. You got 2 quarters.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I said quarter. I meant to say half.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you still have a full half. Like, don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Just reevaluate. You know, I always use weightlifting as like my analogies, but you don't give up weightlifting because you didn't do it right the first time, or you didn't get the weight that you wanted the first time. Like the other day I texted you and I'm just like, oh, I'm trying to ego lift right now, you know? And I was actually trying to chest press 50, you know? And I was like struggling, but I was able to get one in, and I was like, and I remember thinking, like, remember this day, because you're going to come back. There's going to be a day where you're going to be able to do more than one chest press on 50 pounds, you know? So just because you didn't get the right the first time doesn't mean you don't get to pause, reevaluate, and try again, you know? So if things didn't go exactly as you had hoped and planned from January to June, don't let it discourage you. Feel it. Absolutely feel it, but don't let it discourage you. Do not let it stop you. Keep going, keep fighting. Like, I just feel like when you are close to a breakthrough is when the enemy fights even harder, you know, to like discourage you. So if you are feeling discouraged, can I just encourage you and say, like, don't give up. Like, this is the perfect time of the year for you to just take a deep breath and say, like, okay, these are the things I tried. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. So what can I do differently? And if you make 1 degree of a change in your life, that is the win. You know, oftentimes I think we're looking for the 180 in life overnight. The other day we were listening to a worship leader, and he made a statement that said, I've been leading worship for 23 years now. And so I went and looked up his profile, and I'm like, man, how old is this guy, you know? And while I was doing it, I saw that he only got signed in 2021. So people see the fruit, but they don't see the process. So he's been leading for 23 years, but really we've only been seeing it for 3 years.
He's been highlighted to the public or the masses.
For the past 3 years.
Wow.
And he's worked with some great names in the last 3 years. You know, before then, no one even knew his name.
I sure did.
I didn't, you know. I would have been like, who's that rando, you know? So I think, like, the point is always 1 degree of change. We don't expect 180 overnight or in 6 months. Like, for us to get to where we are right now, babe, of realizing, like, man, even the influence in our life is changing. The weight of the influence that we carry, it's changed. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in our 20s. You know, I'm sure there was a day, like, we may have dreamed about it. Like, oh, like, you know, I look forward to the day where we get to have XYZ influence. But that didn't happen. It took like 17 years of just processing, you know? So it's very easy to see the fruit. And like, that's just something I've been reflecting on a lot too these past couple of weeks. I'm just all like, people see the fruit, but they don't see the process.
So don't covet the fruit without coveting the process.
Right. You know? I remember, and I don't know who said this when I was in college. They said, if you ever see a turtle on a fence, please believe that it just didn't get there by happenstance or on its own even, you know, like, it definitely took a long time and there were circumstances that brought it there. It could have been a tornado that put it there, you know, but please recognize there are circumstances that put that turtle on top of a fence, you know? So just remembering that when you see something or someone who's killing it, and social media will make you believe everyone's killing it. But just know that one, they're not showing you the whole picture. And then two, even if they are, it didn't happen overnight. It happened with small changes. And you are so capable of small changes. If I can do small changes, you can do small changes. You can probably do more than me. So, just saying.
No, it's brilliant. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just to be very transparent, I actually took an extended weekend because there's some things I want to get in order as I go into this. I was reminded of your talk literally 2 weeks ago. And I remember just going like, okay, I'm off this weekend. I took an additional 2 days off to extend it because I'm going to use 2 of those days to get some things in order for myself. So we're sharing this with you guys, not as people that's perfected it, but as individuals that is also walking through it. And we also recognize you might be listening to this 1, 2, 3 months down the line. I just need you to know and hear it's not too late. Yeah. Matter of fact, something I did in my brain last year for the first time was I heard someone say, if you're listening to something in September or October and you feel like it can change your life, they say get a 3-month head start then on the brand new year. I was like, that shifted everything for me. So
your halftime can happen anytime.
Come on, say it.
You know, and your new year can happen anytime. It doesn't have to be January 1st. Like, I think that's the biggest enemy of the human mind and willpower is, including me, I'll do it starting on Monday. I'll do it on the 1st.
Yeah.
I'll do it in the middle of the year. You know what? This year's already a wash. Let me go ahead and start next year.
Yeah.
Just, I'm sorry to say this, you're not promised next year. Like,
wow.
It's, we were having a conversation and you asked me, well, what about you? And I jokingly told you, I have time, you know? And you're like, but babe, you don't. You don't know that for a fact that if you have time. So if there is something that has been put on your heart, please don't fool yourself into thinking that you have time. And I think that's a lie that like our young brain makes us believe too. Like, I have all the time in the world.
Facts on facts.
You know, we don't know that.
You don't. Nothing
is guaranteed. The word of God says that you're literally like a vapor, here one moment and gone the next. We've personally experienced that with friends. You know, here one moment we're kikiing and gone the next moment.
Yeah.
So there is no guarantee for a tomorrow, but you do have today. So please take advantage of today. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It doesn't have to be January 1st. It doesn't have to be July 2nd or July 1st, whatever, you know. Your halftime can start. It's never too late to evaluate where you are and where you want to go.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to end it right there.
Yeah. Did you get an hour out of me?
Oh, we got more in it. No, that was great. Thank you, sweetheart. I hope you guys liked this episode. Please comment any takeaways. Hit the like button, subscribe, follow if you listen to us on Apple or Spotify. Leave some reviews, for real. It does help the account get noticed. And actually, the biggest thing the biggest win for me or the biggest gift you can give me is actually when you share it. Anytime, if you think that this has added value in any way, share it with someone that you think that would appreciate it. And guys, talk about this. Like, you might be driving the car right now with someone, or if you're listening to this with anyone, like, talk through this stuff together. So we appreciate y'all. We love you. Thank you for rocking with us. And again, we'd love to hear from you guys as well. If you got more topic ideas, all that good stuff, or questions, at Juby, not Judy, on Insta, at Mark K. Benton 2. And we'd love to talk to you guys. All right? Love y'all. Peace out.